The hidden blueprint, why you were never meant to be ordinary. Have you ever looked around and felt like you were somehow different? Like a quiet hum behind the noise of everyday life has been calling your name since the moment you were born? If so, you're not alone and you're not crazy. You're one of the chosen ones, but not in the way fantasy novels or superhero movies portray it. No, this is far more real, far more silent, far more powerful.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
You see, I've traveled the world, meditated in freezing Himalayan caves, fasted with desert mystics, and walked barefoot in sacred places most people only read about. And if there's one truth that keeps echoing through all the layers of illusion we call reality, it's this: there are rare powers buried deep within us, powers so subtle we mistake them as flaws or ignore them entirely. But they were given to us for a reason. Let me tell you a story. There was a young boy in Brazil who could feel people's emotions before they even spoke. When his mother cried silently in the kitchen, he felt it pierce through his chest like a blade. When his teacher was angry but smiling, he could hear the scream that never left her throat. He thought something was wrong with him until he met an old shaman who told him, "You're not broken. You're listening to a frequency others forgot existed." That boy is now a healer, not because he learned something new, but because he finally remembered who he was. Now, I want you to pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what have I always felt, always known, always carried, but never spoken aloud, because I feared no one would understand? The first of the three rare powers is energetic sensitivity. And no, I'm not talking about being too emotional or too sensitive the way society tries to shame you for it. I'm talking about being born with a built-in radar for truth. People like us walk into a room and feel what others try to hide. We can sense dishonesty, betrayal, love, pain, even before a single word is spoken. We just know. But because no one ever taught us how to use this gift, we buried it, disguised it, called it anxiety, or tried to numb it with noise. But consider this: what if your sensitivity wasn't a weakness, but an early warning system from the divine? What if it's the compass pointing you to where healing is needed most in the world? Let me be clear, this gift comes with responsibility. You can't walk through life absorbing everyone's pain like a sponge. That's not your purpose. You were given this radar so you could become a lighthouse, not a doormat. The difference is in how you respond. Do you let it drown you, or do you let it guide you? The second rare power is reality perception distortion. That sounds wild, right? But hear me out. Have you ever wished something so deeply that it somehow happened? Or noticed that your thoughts seem to magnetize certain people, events, or coincidences? It's not your imagination. Some of us are born with an ability to subtly bend reality. We walk through life like tuning forks, altering frequencies around us through thought, intention, and emotion. This isn't magic, it's quantum mechanics meets ancient wisdom. Your mind isn't just a receiver, it's a transmitter. And when you align thought with emotion and belief, reality listens. But here's the twist. Most people use this power unconsciously. They manifest chaos, drama, heartbreak, because that's what they focus on. That's what they expect. But when we wake up to this ability, we can start weaving a new reality, unconsciously, with purpose. I remember a moment on my journey deep in the Sahara Desert. I hadn't eaten in days. My throat was dry, my spirit even drier. I sat in silence under the stars, and I remember whispering not with my lips, but with my soul, "Show me." In that moment, I felt an energy move. Not outside, but within. The next morning, a nomad tribe passed by offering food, water, and guidance. Coincidence? Or did reality respond to a soul that finally remembered it could speak? So I ask you, what are you unconsciously asking for every day? And are you ready to start asking with intention instead of accident? The final power we'll explore in this first part is soul memory activation. This one is so rare, so sacred, that many deny it even exists. But I believe you've already felt it. Have you ever visited a place for the first time and felt like you've been there before? Or met someone whose eyes spoke volumes like you've known them across lifetimes? That's not nostalgia. That's soul memory. The chosen ones are born with dormant memories of past lives, ancient teachings, and forgotten truths. But because our world doesn't teach us how to access them, we dismiss these moments as déjà vu or coincidence. But what if you could remember? Not just who you are now, but who you've always been. There are clues in your dreams, in the books you're drawn to, in the fears you can't explain. One woman I met in Kyoto had recurring dreams of temples she had never visited, languages she had never studied. When she finally traveled to Japan, she wept at the sight of a specific shrine because her soul remembered what her conscious mind did not. She had been a priestess there, long ago, and now she had returned. The key to accessing your soul memory isn't to force it, it's to create silence, stillness, space. We are so busy, so distracted, that we never let the whispers come through. But when you quiet the noise, the soul speaks. So I ask you now, from the deepest place in me to the deepest place in you, what would happen if you stopped trying to be who the world told you to be and started remembering who you've always been? These powers, energetic sensitivity, reality perception distortion, and soul memory activation, are not random. They are not mistakes. They are not burdens. They are calls, invitations, keys to doors most people don't even know exist. But here's the harsh truth. Most chosen ones never answer the call. They live small. They dim their light. They fit in. And then they wonder why they feel dead inside. But you've made it this far. You've listened this long. That means something in you already knows, already remembers, already is. So now, the question isn't whether you are chosen. The question is, will you choose yourself? Will you step into the unknown, trusting that your gifts are not curses but maps? In the next part, we're going deeper. We'll explore what happens when these powers awaken fully, how to protect yourself, and how to use them without burning out or losing yourself. Because with great power doesn't just come great responsibility, it comes great vulnerability and great beauty. How to protect your energy when you're not meant to fit in. If you've made it this far, then you already know you're not like the others. Not because you're better, not because you're special in the egoic sense, but because you were born with a frequency that doesn't match the noise of the world. And that mismatch? It's not an error. It's a signal, a sacred dissonance, a reminder that you were not meant to blend in, you were meant to light up the dark places others are too afraid to enter. But here's the paradox: the very gifts that make you a bringer of light also make you incredibly vulnerable to the shadows that cling to this world. You see, once your powers begin to awaken, once you start sensing truth in people's lies, bending reality with your thoughts, remembering ancient echoes in your soul, you become a beacon, and light attracts. Not just those seeking healing, not just those drawn to your energy, but also those who are lost, parasitic, confused, or even envious. And if you don't learn how to protect your energy, you'll burn out before you ever fulfill your purpose. Let me be real with you. You cannot save everyone. That's one of the hardest truths chosen ones have to learn. Because we feel so deeply. We know when someone is suffering, even when they smile. We want to help. We want to love. We want to fix. But if you keep pouring from your cup without replenishing it, eventually there will be nothing left. And the world will not give you a medal for your sacrifice. It will simply move on, unaware of the quiet martyrdom you endured. So the first step in protecting your energy is this: learn to say no without guilt. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out, they are gates that protect your sacredness. If someone drains you, manipulates you, guilt trips you, or constantly takes without giving, you are not obligated to keep them in your field. I don't care if they're family, friends, lovers, or mentors. Your soul comes first. Your peace is non-negotiable. And if they really loved you, they would honor your need for space, not punish you for choosing yourself. I remember being in a monastery in Thailand, sitting beside a monk who had taken a vow of silence for 10 years. I asked him, through writing, what he had learned most during his silence. He wrote back 3 words I will never forget: protect your peace. Not because peace is fragile, but because it is sacred. And in a chaotic world, peace is rebellion. It is resistance. It is a divine act of self-love. The second principle in protecting your energy is this: master the art of energetic sovereignty. Imagine your aura, your energy field, as a bubble. Most people walk around with holes in their bubble, letting in all kinds of energetic noise: fear, anger, jealousy, projections, expectations. But you don't have to live like that. You can reinforce your field through intention, through visualization, through breath, through ritual. When you wake up each morning, don't just check your phone. Check your energy. Ask yourself, where am I leaking? Who am I carrying? What isn't mine that I've mistaken as mine? One of the most powerful daily practices I've ever used is this: stand barefoot on the earth. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and say aloud or in your heart, I call all my energy back to me, cleansed and purified. I release all that is not mine, with love and without attachment. Do this daily. Watch how your clarity returns. Watch how the fog lifts. Watch how you stop reacting to life and start responding from your center. But here's where it gets even deeper. The third layer of protection is not about defense, it's about transmutation. Because when you truly begin to embody your gifts, you no longer fear the darkness. You alchemize it. You realize that every person who tries to steal your light is simply someone who forgot they had their own. And instead of running from them or sacrificing yourself to heal them, you learn to meet them in love, without losing yourself in their chaos. Transmutation means turning pain into wisdom. It means taking the betrayal and turning it into boundaries, taking the heartbreak and turning it into poetry, taking the loneliness and turning it into sacred solitude. Chosen ones don't just survive, they transform. That's part of the calling, not to avoid darkness, but to shine through it, and in doing so, become a mirror for others to remember their own light. But that can't happen if you're still at war with yourself. And this leads us into the most intimate, most difficult truth of all. Sometimes the person draining you is not someone else. It's you. Your thoughts, your fears, your self-betrayals, your refusal to rest, your addiction to proving your worth, your constant comparing, doubting, apologizing for being who you are. What if I told you that the greatest threat to your energy wasn't outside of you, but inside the story you keep telling yourself? What if the enemy isn't them, but the version of you that still believes you have to earn your right to exist? Let that sink in. The second you stop trying to convince the world of your value is the second you become powerful beyond measure. When you stop explaining your gifts and start embodying them, you become untouchable. Not because people won't try to dim you, but because their opinions will no longer determine your brightness. And finally, here's the deepest secret I've learned in all my journeys. From the Amazon to the Andes, from ashrams to alleyways, you are never alone. Even when it feels like no one understands, even when the weight of your sensitivity makes you want to disappear, even when the world calls you too much or not enough, there are others, quiet warriors hidden in plain sight, dreamers, mystics, empaths, healers, rebels, starseeds. You are part of a tribe that transcends time and space. We find each other through resonance, not proximity, through soul, not skin. And if you're hearing this now, then this is the reunion your heart has been waiting for. So I ask you now, not with urgency, but with reverence, what would your life look like if you stopped apologizing for your light and started protecting it like the sacred fire it is? What would happen if, instead of shrinking to make others comfortable, you expanded so fully that your very presence became permission for others to do the same? The world does not need more conformity. It needs more authenticity. It needs more people like you, people who feel, who know, who remember. But in order to lead, you must first protect the temple that is your being, not out of fear, but out of love. Love for your mission, love for your truth, love for the divine intelligence that chose you in this time. on this planet for a reason. In the next part, we go beyond protection and into power. You'll learn how to activate these rare gifts fully, how to turn them into tools for transformation, and how to live as a chosen one in a world that never expected you to wake up. This is where the real journey begins, not just for your soul, but for the souls who will awaken through you. The Awakening Blueprint: How to fully activate your chosen powers in a sleeping world. Now that you've remembered who you are, and now that you've learned how to protect your essence in a world that was never designed for the awakened, it's time to go deeper. This is the part most people never reach. This is where the illusions start to fall away, not just on the outside, but inside you. Because knowing you're a chosen one is not the end of the journey, it's the beginning. The real path starts when you choose to activate those rare powers, not for show, not for ego, but for service, for truth, for alignment with the frequency of your soul's original intention here on Earth. The world you were born into is a maze of distractions. From the moment you could walk, you were taught to forget. Forget your inner knowing. Forget your sensitivity. Forget your power. You were trained to believe in limitation, in scarcity, in separation. You were taught to doubt what you feel, to silence your intuition, to follow patterns set by those who never knew who they were. They gave you stories about success, about love, about who you should be, and you wore those stories like armor. But deep down, you always knew something didn't fit. Something was off. That quiet discomfort? That was your soul resisting a life too small for its potential. And now you're here, not by accident, and not by luck, but because something inside you refused to stay asleep. Something in you kept whispering, "There's more." That whisper was the beginning of your awakening. And now we're going to turn that whisper into a roar. To fully activate the 3 rare powers you were born with, we must first understand the principle of spiritual alignment. Activation doesn't come from effort. It doesn't come from forcing or trying to be more spiritual. It comes from removing everything that is not you. It's subtraction, not addition. You don't awaken by gaining power. You awaken by releasing blocks. Power is your natural state when you're not clogged with fear, guilt, shame, or false identities. So the first step to activation is radical self-honesty. You must be willing to look at the masks you're still wearing, the roles you're still playing to be accepted, to be safe, to be loved. Ask yourself, where in my life am I pretending? Where am I shrinking? Where am I betraying myself to keep the peace? Because every act of self-betrayal is a disconnection from your power. It sends a signal to your subconscious that your truth isn't safe. And when your truth isn't safe, your gifts stay dormant. Your energetic sensitivity, your ability to feel what others cannot, will never express itself fully if you keep numbing it with distractions, overcommitment, or toxic people. You must create an inner environment where your sensitivity is honored. That means choosing solitude over noise. That means creating space in your day for stillness, for reflection, for feeling without judgment. You cannot hear divine guidance if you are constantly drowning in external input. One of the most powerful practices to activate energetic sensitivity is daily energetic hygiene. Not just clearing your energy, but tuning it. Start each day with silence. Breathe deeply into your heart. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Is it mine? What needs to be released? Then visualize a light, pure, golden, ancient, filling your body, expanding beyond your physical form, cleansing every layer of your being. This is not imagination. This is recalibration. Your awareness is the control panel of your energy field. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And when you direct attention inward with intention, you begin to purify the lens through which you experience the world. Now let's talk about your reality-bending power. This one scares people the most, because once you realize your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are shaping your experience, there's no one left to blame. Victimhood dies the moment you accept full responsibility for your frequency. But in its place, something incredible is born: sovereignty. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. You become a conscious creator. You begin to see that the outside world is simply a mirror of your inner state. If you don't like what you see, don't fight the mirror. Change the signal you're broadcasting. A practical method to activate this gift is conscious scripting. Each morning, before the world can pull you into its chaos, write down your reality as if it has already happened. Not from desperation, but from alignment. Instead of writing, "I want peace," write, "I am grounded in peace, no matter what happens around me." Instead of "I hope I meet someone," write, "I am attracting relationships that honor my soul." This isn't wishful thinking. It's energetic alignment. You're not trying to manifest, you're tuning your field to match the timeline where your desire already exists. But here's the deeper level: you must feel it. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. You can say, "I am abundant" 1,000 times, but if you feel scarcity in your bones, you'll keep creating lack. So the true work is to feel the feelings of the new reality, even when the outer world hasn't caught up. This is where most people give up. But you're going to remember who you are. You're going to walk by faith, not sight. You're going to hold the vibration of the future until it becomes the present. Now, let's dive into the rarest power: soul memory activation. This one is sacred. It cannot be forced. It must be invited. Your soul holds libraries of knowledge, lifetimes of wisdom, skills, and lessons. And when the time is right, that knowledge begins to surface, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through synchronicities, sometimes through spontaneous downloads in moments of stillness. But you must be ready to receive. You must be open. There's a reason why ancient initiates underwent long periods of purification before receiving spiritual downloads. Because the soul's memory is like lightning, it needs a grounded, clear vessel to flow through. If your mind is cluttered with worry, if your body is toxic, if your heart is closed, the memory cannot land. So your work is to prepare the temple. Eat clean. Meditate. Journal. Spend time in nature. Ask questions before you sleep. Invite your soul to show you what you're ready to remember. One profound technique for soul memory activation is sacred recall meditation. Here's how it works. Sit in stillness. Breathe deeply. Visualize yourself walking through a vast library of golden light. Each book represents a lifetime. Ask your soul, what am I ready to remember now? Trust what comes. It may be a vision, a word, a feeling. Don't analyze it. Receive it. Record it. Over time, patterns will emerge. You'll begin to remember languages you never studied, cultures you've never visited, emotions you've never experienced in this life, but somehow know intimately. That's not fantasy. That's soul recognition. But here's the warning. With great memory comes great responsibility. You may remember sacred knowledge, healing abilities, or even ancient traumas. You must learn to hold what arises with maturity, not to escape this life, but to enrich it. You are not here to live in the past, you are here to bring ancient truth into modern reality. You are a bridge between timelines, a living embodiment of wisdom that refuses to be forgotten. And now we arrive at the final unlocking, embodiment. It's not enough to know your powers. It's not enough to protect them. You must live them, walk them, speak them, share them, not to impress, but to serve, to uplift, to awaken. Your presence is your power. Your authenticity is your offering. Every time you choose truth over comfort, alignment over approval, soul over ego, you activate your field. You become a living transmission. Embodiment means your life becomes your message. You don't just talk about healing, you embody it in how you love, in how you forgive, in how you hold space for others. You don't just talk about manifestation, you live in gratitude and presence, even when things are uncertain. You don't just talk about soul memory, you let the wisdom of your past lives guide your choices today, with humility and grace. And perhaps most importantly, embodiment means you stop waiting. Waiting to be ready, waiting to be perfect, waiting for permission. You realize that the world doesn't need another expert. It needs you, raw, real, in process, in power. Because your journey, your story, your scars, and your light are the medicine someone else has been praying for. So I ask you now, with all the love in my being, what are you waiting for? What excuse is still holding you hostage? What lie are you still clinging to that says you're not enough? Because I promise you this, you are enough. You've always been enough. You were chosen not because you are flawless, but because you are willing. Willing to feel, willing to rise, willing to remember. This is the call. The world is waking up. The old systems are crumbling. The illusion of separation is breaking. And in the middle of the chaos, souls like yours are being activated. Not to escape this world, but to transform it from within. You are the seed of a new earth. But seeds must break to bloom, and light only shines after the dark. So take this moment, close your eyes, breathe in all that you are. Feel the weight of lifetimes collapsing into this now. And remember, you are not here by accident. You are here by design. You are the answer to a question humanity has been asking for centuries. You are the chosen. Now rise.